Walk me through what we saw out of these earnings and how are you assessing the share price reaction so far?
Well, the earnings weren't too surprising. I think he had kind of set an expectation. The news and what Elon had been saying was setting people up for some disappointment. I mean, he had layoffs announced recently. This is not very, kind of tech company new, tech company like. That's very traditional automaker like to have reduced revenue, reduced share prices, and reduced employee count. So he'd kind of set that expectation low, and then he talks about coming up with new product that's lower priced, and that's exactly what everyone knows they need. So part of me feels like he told everyone exactly what they wanted to hear, but he wasn't very specific about price, about timing. I mean, what's the definition of a quote unquote low cost product? And he's given himself about a year and a half, give or take, of runway now to do something. But I'd like to have more specifics before I'd have confidence that what we're talking about here is a true game changer for the company's short term in the next 1 to 2 years.
You know, Karl, expand on that for me. It leads me perfectly to my next question, because the devil is going to be in the detail here. No confirmed price, no confirmed launch date. We don't even know what it's going to look like yet, although investors seem pretty happy to buy on the headline news. What's your best guess on the timeline here and when we might actually get some concrete details from Tesla?
Well, Elon can be very creative in how he presents his information. And so what he lets slip out and how he shares it over the next maybe 6 to 12 months, we'll see. Every suggestion and indication is that it's probably going to be riding on the same platform that he's already developed. And I'm not sure how different it's going to look than, say, the existing Model 3. And what exactly are they going to do? I mean, could they decontent a Model 3 enough to just simply make that a less expensive, lower cost model, or is it going to be something truly different and new and have something compelling about it other than a decontented Model 3? That's what concerns me, is that this is going to be a more creative use of a lot of existing platform and technology and style versus something that's truly new and different. And I don't know if that's going to move the market and move the meter on his company.
Karl, as well, we see the company and the industry really battling headwinds here, resulting in weaker EV sales. Tesla can make a cheaper car. Can it sell it?
Well, that's the other thing, too, is even if it makes a supposedly cheaper vehicle and it takes them another 18 months to do that, every day there's another automaker, sometimes a startup, sometimes a traditional, but both groups are jumping in constantly. And we're seeing a lot more impressive product coming out of China. There's just no denying it. And a lot cheaper product too. So in another 12, 16, 18 months, what will have to be defined as a high value, low cost EV compared to today? It could be quite a move that we have to see in product. And that's what Tesla's got to plan on. He can't just plan on having a revised version of the Model 3 that costs less. It's got to have truly substantial improvement and a truly substantial price reduction. Most people can't afford EVs still. That's what's holding up a lot of the market share, especially in the US.
Indeed, and intensifying competition, not just from Chinese EV makers, but from the traditional car industry as well, which has really accelerated its own efforts on electrification. Karl, what should we be looking out for next here when it comes to the news flow headline around Tesla? And what do you make of the performance of the stock? I know you're not a stock analyst, but look, it's down 40% so far this year. The boost that we're seeing after hours obviously helping to counter some of those losses, but what should we expect next?
Without something major going on, like a new product that's lower cost, very compelling, and promises to have, a real breakthrough in volume, I feel like what we saw on this report today is going to kind of be where the company is for the next 3 or 4 quarters at least. Struggling to grow share and grow sales as competition increases and maybe a certain amount of demand gets sated for EVs, and it's hard to get to that next threshold. We looked at all the data in the US, and it just looks like it's harder to get any location, including the whole US, past between like 8 and 10%. It becomes much slower growth in any single location before you can grow after 8 or 10%. It just kind of stalls out there. And now the whole country is at that level. So I think all EV makers, including Tesla, are going to be struggling with that over the next 12 plus months. Maybe some economic shifts, maybe some reduction in pricing if lithium maybe gets cheaper and the car's prices come down. These could all have some movements. But I don't know if we're going to see the kind of just wellspring of unrestrained growth we've seen in the EV market for the last 3 or 4 years. That may not happen anymore.